Welcome to Don't Be Caged by Your Age, Cathy. I'm so happy you're here to share your insights, stories, and advice with our listeners.
Thank you so much, Andy. I'm definitely not caged by my age.
We are going to have a lot of laughter today with Cathy, folks. Wait to hear some of her stories and some of the fun things that she's up to. But before we get started, Cathy, please share with everyone your age and where you hail from.
I am 61 at this moment, but born in 62, so 62 this year when my
Woohoo!
birthday rolls around. And I'm located just north of Toronto in Ontario, Canada.
Oh my gosh, another Toronto goddess. Listeners, you know I have a list of amazing Toronto goddesses, and I'm adding Cathy Nesbitt's name to that list. I tell you, the most amazing women come from your neck of the woods, Cathy.
I agree.
So before and as we get started in this conversation, please share a few super interesting, fun, some nugget from your career and your life, just to give us all a flavor of who you are and where you've been.
Yeah, so the 80s was my time of travel. Not that it's the end. It was my introduction, and I spent a lot of time. I spent 3 months traveling, or yeah, 3 months traveling in Europe. I lived in France for a year, traveled around Canada, and then finally in 89, 90, my husband and I traveled for 13 months in Africa and Asia.
Wow. That's a lot, and to do that with someone that you love, I mean, that really deepens your relationship.
If you can travel with someone, you can live with them.
Yes, I agree 100%. Oh, I love this. So you are an adventurous spirit. And as you were looking forward to this time of your life, right? When you're thinking about, in your 30s or you were in your 40s or 50s and you were thinking, what am I going to do in my 60s? What did that time look like versus what you are doing?
Yeah, that's a great question because when I grew up, I thought that my role was, as you know, women of our age, we were given like a few options that for career,
Right.
secretary, nurse, teacher, waitress, mom.
Right.
Well, mom was included in all of those, by the way.
Right.
And I chose secretary, so I took all of those courses, and it served me well as an entrepreneur. But I thought that was my lot in life. I got bored, I changed jobs all the time, and I really thought that I would work, for a company for 30 years and then get a gold watch.
Listeners, can you relate? Honestly, we were indoctrinated. That's what we saw if you were from the middle class. That's what you often saw around you.
Yeah, and it's interesting because having a few choices at least gives you something to choose from. Now it's Pandora's box, you can do anything, so you get paralyzed by choice.
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. And that happens to a lot of folks when they retire. They get so excited. That's all they're thinking about is, boy, I can't wait to not have to show up somewhere every single day. Well, 3 months in, they're sitting there going, what do I do? I feel great. I'm in good shape. Or how do I get out of bed? How do I get off this couch?
Is this
So,
all there is?
yeah, that's a really, really good point. And I just want to say, Cathy, I share the secretarial background with you. I actually went to a secretarial school, and it's how I learned working with for entrepreneurs right outside their door, right? Always a man back in the day, but it taught me everything I needed to know about running a business. So I love that you did that. So let's get into your background because listeners, I have to tell you, I'm not sure, Cathy, where I found you, but I said, I have got to have Cathy on the show because she's doing so many fun things. She's got Cathy's Crawlers, Cathy's Sprouters, she's got a Chuckle Club, and she's a certified laughter yoga teacher. What? So you got to talk to us a little bit about that. And then, of course, you inspire people. You have conversations, you speak everywhere. But first, I need to know what this laughter. Oh, there's my Boston accent, everybody. What's this laughter? Laughter yoga teacher about?
Yeah, so if I could go back to the worms first, because it's the 22nd anniversary of my worm composting business.
Oh, congratulations. What inspired you to launch it?
Well, interesting. I thought I was an office worker forever. And and then I got my psych degree in 2000 and was working at a group home with challenged adults. And I thought I had come home then. I was like, "Oh, this is what I was meant to do." Everything I did with my full heart. And I put my soul into everything I did. Everything I do, I still do that. So 2000, our landfill closed, and although Canada's a pretty large country, we couldn't find a place to site a new landfill. And I had a solution. Almost 1,000 trucks a week were leaving Toronto area to Michigan. We were exporting our garbage to the US. Sorry,
Wow, I had no idea.
right? Shame on us. Shame on
Well,
the Americans too for exchanging our garbage for cash.
oh my gosh.
And not the people. I'm not shaming the people. It's
No,
the
and
decision makers.
I mean, excuse me, but we know what Canada looks like on the map. I've been to Canada. My son went to McGill. We've hiked in Banff. Yeah, we know the area. It just seems like there's plenty of land there for that.
Right, but we have NIMBYism, right? If you have a strong enough lobby, it's not happening in that neighborhood, right? Not in my
Right.
backyard. And so we needed to find a solution quick. And Michigan is the trash capital. After the auto industry fell apart,
Yeah.
they needed a new industry, right? Ford, GM, Chrysler were all in Detroit.
Yeah.
And right, okay, so then it was like, what are we going to do? And I mean, I joke because otherwise I'd be crying in the corner.
Sure.
And I think that Michigan was like, what are we going to do? We need a new industry. Why don't we be the trash capital? So they have the lowest tipping fees
Oh my
for
gosh.
landfill. I mean, I know it's crazy. And so we started to export our garbage. We don't any longer, by the way. We found a spot in Canada.
So there you are, being the problem solver that you are. You said, okay, how do I fix this problem?
Yeah, and it's indoor composting with worms. So it's worms in the house. Again, back to Toronto, 6 million people, half live in condos, townhouses without space to do outdoor composting. So this is, in a Rubbermaid or in some kind of a tote. It's easy. And so the laughter. So I was
Well, wait a
so
minute. No, I want to go back to the
oh,
worms
okay.
because yeah, because I'm trying to, and listeners, maybe you're having a hard time wrapping your brain about having worms in the home. So I'm trying to bring that in because I've lived in small spaces on the, whatever 10th floor or third floor apartment. How does this work?
Yeah, so it's the same idea as outdoor composting, except it's inside with the worms. The worms require a carbon nitrogen mix. So the carbon is your shredded paper, leaves, straw, cardboard,
Yeah.
and the nitrogen is your food scraps, the banana peels, coffee grounds,
Right.
tea bags, etc. You add those both in. It
Yeah.
it needs to be a certain environment, temperature, moisture,
Yeah.
airflow. You add a certain type of worms, not the ones that come out when it rains. They're soil dwellers. You're looking
Hmm.
for surface dwellers. Red wigglers are the optimum. They eat about half their weight per day in food scraps. So if you had a pound of worms, half a pound per day or 3 to 4 pounds per week of food scraps that isn't being trucked around, that we're
Right.
managing on site. And we're
Right.
converting it into beautiful, nutrient rich soil.
And then
It-
what do you do with the soil if you're in an apartment?
well, it's great for your houseplants.
Yeah.
Or if you have friends that are gardeners,
Yeah.
it's like, I love you
Adopt-
so much. Have some worm poo. I love you.
I think this is so wonderful and so groundbreaking. 22 years you've been doing this. Now, as someone who has cats and is already dealing with kitty litter smells, is there an odor that comes out from the compost?
Great question. This is aerobic process, meaning with oxygen.
Hmm.
Worms breathe through their skin. They breathe oxygen. So if it smells bad, like rotting food, that oxygen has been converted to gas now. And we can't. It's bad for us, bad for the worms.
Yeah.
It's like a built-in mechanism.
Wow. So there is no odor because they're processing it and pooping it.
Correct. I wouldn't say no odor, but it's a natural odor.
Yeah.
If you ever go for a walk in the forest after a rain, it might have that kind of a damp smell,
Oh, that's perfect. I'm
right?
good with that.
Yeah.
So 22 years. And I have to ask, as a four times founder, and listeners, please forgive me, but I just have to ask, how has that worked? How'd you get the word out? How have the results been?
Oh, it was tough at the beginning. I must say, I jumped into this without entrepreneurial experience or background or mentors. I just knew I had a solution, and I said, okay, I got to do this. So I jumped in, and I didn't know that people don't buy what they need, but they buy what they want. So I'd have my
Oh,
display at farmers markets or trade shows, wherever I could have a booth, ready to, educate people. And they'd come up to my booth, "What do you have here?" And I realized early on that people didn't want what I had and they were afraid of worms. They may have been traumatized after a rain, or,
yeah,
somebody chased them around with a worm or something, or a fishing incident, the green goo that comes out.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Right. So if you're traumatized as a child, you're not looking to that as an adult as a solution.
Right. Oh my
So I
gosh.
so I realized, oh gosh, how am I going to do this? Because my goal was to put worms in every living space, every home, every school, every business. Worms
And make it an
everywhere.
everyday thing. Just
Yeah,
like
a
you
household word. That's not happened so far.
yeah,
Because there's a lot of factors, and it's the worms. The worms
yeah,
are the hardest part, because if you're afraid, if you're like, "Oh, worms are creepy. What? They're in the house." Right? There's so many
yeah.
things. It's like la la la. No, not for me. So I started to take on school workshops, and I have educated over 75,000 students.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's
And
brilliant. So you're getting them at a younger age and getting them to go, "I want a red wiggly crawler."
that's it. And I've had the privilege. We don't know. We make a difference every day. We smile at someone, or we yell at someone. We're impacting people every time we meet somebody, but we
Right.
never know. We rarely have the privilege of knowing the impact we've made. Because I was exhibiting before 2020, I was exhibiting, oh gosh, 100 to 200 events a year. I was a hamster. Like, I was like, "Oh, I gotta be there, I gotta be there." And I was, because I wanted everybody to know this.
Yeah.
And I've met students who I was in their grade 3 class, they've now graduated, and have come up to me and said, "Cathy, you were in my grade 3 class, and because we had worms in the classroom, I took environmental studies at college."
Oh, be still my heart. I love that something fierce. Oh, Kathy, that has to feel so good.
It's really not empowering, what's the word? It's acknowledgement, just like, "Okay, I'm on the right path."
Exactly, exactly. And listeners, if you're thinking, wow, I'd like to have an indoor, because a lot of times you might be downsizing into a townhouse or an apartment, and you still want to be part of the earth and part of giving back and lowering the carbon footprint and increasing, composting in a healthy way. That sounds like a great way to go. I'll have Kathy's links in the show notes, everyone. But Kathy, what is the website so people can go find it?
It's kathyscomposters.com.
Perfect. There we go.
Yeah.
You're ready to
Right
glow,
there.
everybody. Okay, so now and personally, I have to also ask you about Kathy's sprouters because I am I started doing sprouts on my own when I was 18, so that's 1974. How did you get the sprouter going?
So back to 2002, it was a big year for me, Andy. My very first event, it was Earth Month, April, Earth Month, and I was exhibiting at a garden event with my worms. And there was a gentleman selling the sprouter that I now sell, and I didn't know anything about sprouts or sprouting. And it looks like a little spaceship. It's a plastic unit, and it's got a dome, so it's got its own little microclimate. When there was a break in the audience, I went over to this gentleman and I said, what is that? And why are people buying that and not my worms?" And he said it was a sprout grower and told me all about sprouts. This gentleman was 72. He's 95. He just moved into assisted care. He
Oh
takes
my
no
god.
medication. He's super healthy. His mind is starting to go, and he's got a bit of macular
Yeah.
degeneration. Otherwise, super healthy. He was a professional ballroom dancer.
Oh my gosh, and he liked to grow his own sprouts.
Well, that was part of why he's so healthy into his 90s.
And you can do
Um,
the micro sprouts that we see in the store as well?
So the unit is his name. So the unit that Tony designed is really designed for the larger beans, the
Okay.
pulses, the legumes like
Yeah,
lentils, mung beans, chickpeas,
right.
etc. The larger beans. You can grow the microgreens, but it's a kind of a two-step process.
Got it, got it. I
And there
love
are better
microgreens.
systems probably for the microgreens, I would say.
Yeah, and I still have such a fondness of alfalfa sprouts just from, again, coming of age in the 70s. This is so exciting. These are things that folks can do and think about in their retirement days where they can be at farmers markets, talking to people, having engagement, having connection, because don't be caged by your age. listeners, is all about finding ways for you to thrive after 65, whatever that looks like, because retirement really means, okay, see you bye. We don't need you anymore. And you know how I feel. Pastures are for horses, not people. You want to stay engaged, you want to stay visible and chatting and connecting and having conversations with folks. So I love what Kathy's up to. But now let's get to the big, what is certified laughter yoga teacher? I must know everything.
Right? Oh, everything I do, Andy, is about just sustainability, simple solutions for today's challenges. And before 2020, I thought I was a juggler. Like, you want worms, you want sprouts, you want what do you need? I have it. And then 2020 and the lockdown and time to think and more time and so much time
Right.
to think and too much time. It's hard to remember those times, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't want to think too hard back there. But I had time to think and was like, wow, everything I do is something for a beautiful life. It doesn't cost money, not a lot of money.
Right.
And you're just making a difference. So the laughter, 2012, one more person said, ew, worms in the house. And I'd heard it many times over the years. 10 years I'd been, flogging worms, and I wasn't listening. I was like, no, 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 you need this. It's really important. And I'd move on. And thankfully I have all this energy, right? I eat biogenic food, the sprouts. And 2012, I felt it. I questioned everything. I said,
Yeah.
my gosh, universe, I don't know what to do. I maybe I'll just get a job. Oh, who would have me? No, this has to work. And the very next day, I was introduced to laughter yoga. And I don't do yoga. I know yoga's a fine thing. I just jumped to the fun yoga. And it's not doing yoga and laughing. It's laughing as an exercise. The yoga part is the deep diaphragmatic breathing and the practice of the laughter. Started in 1995 by a medical doctor in India, Dr. Madan Kataria, and his goal is world peace. And I believe that it was started in 1995 so we could be ready for 2020. Prior to that, there was very few opportunities to laugh
Right.
online. And there are clubs in over 120 countries now. Wow, North America's a late adopter, so yoga's kind of just arriving.
Yeah,
Laughter
but
yoga is still in the ocean.
what a movement, because, tapping into your laughter really shifts you. And as you know, certainly here in the US, it's all about being angry. And we have to learn to shift our brain chemistry, because we do know from studies that the brain kind of likes that whole outraged anger thing. And sometimes if you keep feeding that, it keeps finding it in your life. And you want to put your brain to work for better uses than that. So, talk about how this works. I hear you with the breathing. Where does the laughter come in?
So the laughter, when we say ho and ha, we're moving our diaphragm. So those sounds are already, you can put your hands on your belly and just go ho, ho. And you can actually feel it, feel your diaphragm moving. So it is a matter of, it's not jokes or comedy because jokes are cultural. So, the
Right.
laughter leader's not standing up there telling jokes. We're not comedians. Some of us are. I'm funny. So there's clapping and gentle movement and rhythm. Some people include dance, like just jumping, moving around. It's a whole host of components, but we start with a mantra and clapping. So you're clapping palm to palm, so you're activating meridians. And I did think that that was a little bit odd at the beginning because I don't need priming. I'm a natural laugher, but there's a rhythm. So it's 1 2 1 2 3, and the words are ho ho ha ha ha. And that, it's like Pavlov's dog. It gets us primed. So when we go to a laughter club and we start ho ho ha ha ha, our brain says, "Oh, must be happy time." So we start secreting the love drugs,
Yep.
dopamine,
Yeah.
oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Dose. Have you had your daily dose? Versus cortisol and adrenaline when we're stressed. And we're oxygenating our beautiful brain. When we're
Oh,
stressed, we're not breathing properly, right? Our frontal lobe
right.
shuts off. We go into our reptilian brain and we're just reacting. We just need to get out of the stress. And our body, even though at a certain time in prehistoric times, we needed to know if we were in danger. We needed that. Now we're not in danger. If we lose our keys or we miss the bus, it's annoying for sure. It's a nuisance. And we might lose our job if we have a job,
Right.
but it's not life threatening.
Right.
Our body acts as if. So we're not breathing, our brain's not getting, oxygen, and our body's not getting oxygen. And we're secreting all those hormones, all those chemicals that are damaging. We know that stress is a killer. And since this is for older folks, beautiful queenagers and kingagers,
Okay, I'm writing that word down right now. Queenagers and kingagers.
right? We're doing it. The beautiful part about as we're getting older, hopefully, if we've done some work, we don't give a crap about what people are thinking about what we're
Boy, we
doing.
don't at all. And I really feel that online. I mean, of course, I've been digital marketing since and online communicating since 2011, but boy, just don't care. Lots of views. Okay. Don't care. No views. Okay. Don't care. And everything in between. That's not my purpose for getting up every day and putting out content myself, but also all the conversations that go on. So you're absolutely right. And what I love about this is yoga, yes, itself, of course, is a beautiful practice. You stretch out your body, you're breathing. That's great. But this is different. This is everybody can do this.
This is so different. The beautiful part of this, and my laughter income has surpassed my worm income, and it's only been a short time that I've been really like I've been laughing since 2012, really laughing since 2020. And there's so much demand because like we have this global mental health tsunami that was here before 2020. It
Right.
just now we need to look at it because
Right.
it's bigger.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I love that for you, Kathy. I love that. My laughter income has now surpassed my worm income, my compost income. This is so good.
And it's so much easier. There's no equipment. You don't need anything, no experience required. Everybody can laugh. It does take a little bit of time for people that are super serious and in their head. They're like,
Right.
oh, ha, la, 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 like that voice.
Right.
Oh, I invite people to come. If you're going to go to a laughter club, plan to go twice. The first time could be odd, where you're like, ooh, I felt uncomfortable. Good, because it's new.
Right. And and so what I'm thinking is what's it like? Because can you do this online as well as in person?
Yes, absolutely. So before 2020, I didn't have a laughter club. I didn't have a laughter club at all because I said, universe, I don't want to have a free laughter club because I do enough for free. So I just want paid gigs. And guess what? I got paid gigs.
Oh my gosh, what does that look like? This is so exciting because folks, it's tapping into what fuels your passion, suits your personality, and can I get this out for you right now? Yeah, feeds your pocketbook as well.
That's it. Yes. And, for anyone listening, looking for something, what can I do that I'm contributing? You can get trained as a laughter leader and then go into long term care and do laughter there. It's not jokes or comedy. If people are experiencing dementia or, cognitive decline, it's not about understanding what's happening. It's the energy, it's a frequency,
It's
it's just energy.
oh,
So you go in,
so
you're
good.
laughing, ha ha ha. Everyone's playing their laugh. I don't know what I'm laughing at, but it doesn't matter
Doesn't
because I'm
matter at
laughing and I
all.
feel good. And then people connect, right? It's making eye contact, playing. It's being like children, like childlike, not childish, just childlike play.
It is
And
being
just
I love being silly, so that makes me very, very happy. How much does it cost to become a laughter leader?
great question. Yes. So online, well, it's about 450 Canadian, 450. It's a 2-day training.
Yeah?
It's the funnest course you're ever going to take. And I do suggest people take the training for themselves. Like
Yeah.
we spend so much money on ourselves, like going out for dinner, we go here or there, we do all this stuff. Spend money on yourself, learn this magic medicine for you. And once you learn it, then you become it, then you are it, then you can go and share it. And you can share it
Right.
right away. And you can
And
get your money back from your training in 2 or 3 paid gigs.
oh my gosh. And how do people first of all, listeners, I think $450 is very affordable right there.
Right?
That's an investment that you can pay off on a credit card over so many months. And how do you get a paid gig? How does somebody why would somebody bring you in?
Because everyone's struggling right now. So I mentioned long-term care. Before 2020, I was going into long-term care and assisted living, working with special needs. I was already doing a lot of school workshops with my worms. So now I still do worm
Yeah.
workshops. Laughter is incorporated in everything. And sometimes the children will say, how come you laugh so much? And which kind of makes me sad that they're recognizing that I'm laughing so much.
Yeah.
Or I did a grade 3 workshop for Earth Day, my favorite day to do a worm workshop. I had 4 classes, 4 sessions, and I have tons of energy, so I get filled up by speaking. I don't People are like, "Oh, you must be exhausted." No, I could do 4 more. And a grade 3 student put up his hand and he said, "You have so much energy." I was like, "I have more energy than a grade 3."
Oh my gosh. And for them to see that going, wow, she has so much energy. That says a lot too. What an observation.
Right? And so I incorporate tapping, brain gym, qigong. I do a lymphatic massage included because laughter goes with everything. So how do people get paid gigs? Well, like any business, it's marketing. So you got to create something, right? You got to
Yeah.
have something that you can offer. There's so much opportunity. You can go to local schools, you could
Oh,
offer it
sure.
there. You could go to long-term care. You can go to corporations. That's where the money is. Now you got
Right.
to be a professional there, right? You got to know what you're doing before you go in to
But think
corporate.
about this, listeners. That's a thread you could pull on to thrive after 65, right? Go check it out. Kick the tires on laughter yoga. It could be the ideal fit for you. You could show up at different networking events and find out who needs a little add on. Or you could if you're a woman, you could hop on Innovation Women platform. And that's where event planners look for female speakers, and you can get involved that way and tell people, because these associations are always having meetings and they're doing very hardcore learning for their industry. And how great to have a breakout session called laughter yoga. I am just over the moon with this opportunity.
There's
And
so much opportunity.
yeah,
There
there
is.
is.
I wanted to say something about English is such a beautiful language. So I'm going to say something and then I'll break it down. So no laughter, no problem. No laughter, no problem. Here we go. N-O laughter, K-N-O-W problem. So if you're not laughing on a regular basis and just kind of taking life a little bit lighter, then you got to know your problem. You might need to go and talk about it.
Right.
If you KNOW laughter, if you know laughter, you're intimate with laughter, and no problem, and not that your problems go away. Your brain is fully oxygenated. More ideas can pour into your beautiful being.
That's right. You become a solutionist. You become someone who knows how to fix those problems instead of getting stuck in the problems. Oh my gosh. This is amazing. I am so glad that you came on and shared this information. Let's talk a little bit about ageism, and
Mm.
how you're feeling about aging at this time in your life. And because as we are in our 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, listeners, what we're up against. We're seeing our mortality. We are being uh, spoken to every day from advertisers. We're having friends who are in decline or passing, and it can be really, really hard. How are you managing this time in your life?
Well, first of all, about age, that's one thing I knew early on that I couldn't change my age. My birthday would come around, and so I was never concerned about, oh, I'm this age, I'm that age, oh, I'm 39, I'm going to be 40. That was something that I never spent any energy on and continue at this time. And I just love every new decade brings so many more
Kathy,
opportunities.
why do you think that is? Because most people are indoctrinated to go, oh, God, look at this. There's like, I can't handle my new body or my new look or this new hair or all the things that start missing or start growing at this time of year as you age. Did you shift, or was that just who you were, or
I had an experience early on. My stepfather passed. He was 38.
oh
And I
no.
loved my stepfather. I loved
Oh,
him so much. And then the expression, the good die young, I was like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, it's true. Oh my God, it's true. And from that moment on, I don't know why, but I allow I his death prompted me to never take my life for granted. Like to always jump in. I talked about traveling at 27 for 13 months with my husband. Well, at that time, people were so funny. It was in the 80s or 89 when the interest rates were going up, the
Yeah.
housing market similar to how it is today, were double digits and people were freaking out. All of our friends were buying their first houses and they said, "If you go away now, you're never going to buy a house." I said, "Well, I don't even want concrete roots, so it's perfect." That's true. And then an accountant at the company I was working for said, "These are your prime earning years. If you go away now, you're never going to get that money back."
Oh my
And I was
gosh, so
like,
much negative programming and indoctrination. Jeez.
Right, and I said, "I'm never gonna have this experience," and people said, "When I retire, I'm gonna travel." And it's like, you're not gonna retire you're not gonna I didn't think of it at the time, but now it's like, you couldn't travel the same as at 60 or 65 as you did at 27. I don't even have the same desires.
Oh my gosh, you don't have any kids. You don't have any, you don't have the heavy commitments of every month of the rent, the utilities, all the things that you have to be responsible for. I think it's the ideal time to travel.
And your health, and what I didn't really factor in at that time was climate change. And war, and how these countries, like some of the countries you can't even go to anymore.
I know. I know. It's so hard. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so glad that you have such a positive feeling about aging because the messaging, even today, there's this new ad out there where this young man calls a favorite comedian actress that we have here in the US, ma'am, and she's gets all upset because that means she's old. Yeah, it's just this whole like old is bad. Don't do it. What advice do you have for folks to help them from being caged by their age, to help them understand that this time of life is a wonderful opportunity to explore and redefine yourself?
I think for society, I would love for us to really look at the indigenous communities. They revere their elders. They are respected, they're cherished. And I would love to see that transferred to our society rather than just warehousing people and just counting them. You go to, I mean, some doctors, if you, my mom is older than me. Imagine. And when I take her go accompany her to doctor's appointments, her mind is still there. Why are they talking to me? Like
Right.
she's the one that's going to be taking the medication, or please talk to her. Be
Oh my gosh.
respectful, you
It
know?
it's so true. I go to a doctor's appointment. I'm 67 and they assume, "Oh, so you're retired, so you're playing with your grandkids or you're." I go, "Grandkids? I feels like I just had my kids a minute ago." Minors, I had a late parent, but I called them. I go, "Oh, wow. That's an ageist discriminating comment right there." Do not assume just because I'm over a certain age that I've lost my ambition, that I just want to drink cocktails or play golf. No, most people need a reason to get out of bed or off the couch every single day. And finding ways to do that is so key. I love that. And you're right about our indigenous people. They do honor, and oh, how much do I love that word, cherish their elders. We need a cherish your elder movement.
Mm, yes, I love that. Something that happened as well early on, I was working at CP Hotels. I was working in the head office when I was 17. And the man that I was working for was retiring the following year. He was going to be 65 and he couldn't wait. He just was looking out the window. We had a view of Lake Ontario and he talked about going fishing every day. He was like looking out the window. He couldn't wait to go fishing. He died the first year after he retired.
Gosh.
And so
Oh.
that another message, like for me going, oh my gosh, you got to live your life. Like,
Yeah, don't wait to live your life until you retire.
don't
Oh,
wait.
yeah. But in your 60s, given that we have some kind of lifespan happening, right, Kathy? We're coming in, we're feeling strong. The world needs you, right?
We need to show the younger people that what is possible, what's coming. And on one of your podcasts, someone talked about intergenerational, like having
Yes.
having people from different, I have friends all ages, 20s, 30s. I mean, I can relate to everybody, and I always could. That was one of my superpowers, was being like, not seeing titles. I don't care what your title is.
Right. But also not judging because you're a boomer and they're a Z, right? Just and coming up with, oh, they don't like to do this and that and they're wrong. No, everybody's fascinating. And honestly, the under 30 crowd actually do cherish their elders. They do enjoy their elders. We certainly see that here in the US politically. I mean, Bernie Sanders is a terrific example of that. But I know from being in the startup ecosystem that my biggest fans were under 30 as well. And I still have many good connections that are under 35 as a result. So, this is such a great conversation. I'm so happy to learn about you and all this remarkable work you're doing, but especially about the laughter yoga. I'm excited to share that idea and modality. I'm going to start practicing a little bit on myself. I'm going to go watch some videos. Where can folks find you to learn more about your version of laughter yoga?
Oh, well, I have an invite for everybody. I have a free laughter yoga club every Tuesday morning. It's 9:30 a.m. Eastern. 30 minutes of super fun self-care. It's on Zoom. I incorporate, as I said, Qigong, tapping, brain gym, just to help people. And there's no strings. I don't follow up. I don't, register and don't come. I'm not going to chase you. I just want people to come and get out of stress and feel good, because when we feel good, we do good. And
Excellent.
that's what we all want. We want to feel good. So it's kathysclub.com. Yeah, just register and come.
Cathysclub.com. Very simple. And that's CATHYSCLUB.com, right, Kathy?
It is. Yes.
Excellent. Oh my gosh, Tuesday mornings. Yay. I will have the links for that in the show notes, listeners. Kathy, thank you for carving out time to join me for a delicious conversation to help folks shatter those age related expectations and start thriving after 65 in their life, or if they're in their 50s, to start planning on how they'll be thriving as they age. Any last thoughts before we end our delicious conversation?
If not now, when? If not you, who? Like, whatever. What do you want to do? Just go do it.
I love that. I'll have the links where you can follow Kathy everywhere she glows and everywhere she laughs. Thank you so much for joining me, Kathy, on Don't Be Caged by Your Age. It was such a treat to spend time with you. And my heart is lighter from this conversation. And listeners, you have so much to give. Don't let those internalized ageist beliefs prevent you from pursuing new dreams and opportunities, no matter what age you're at. Until next time, I'm wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. Cheers from Boston, everyone. Bye. Listeners, I'm so grateful you carved out time to tune in and grab the gems from this delicious conversation. Be sure to hop on over to Don't Be Caged by Your Age on LinkedIn or Instagram to share your thoughts about ageism and unretirement. Because in this space, your age doesn't define you, it refines you. If you are inspired by a story you hear, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe, share, rate, and review the podcast. To receive an alert whenever a new show is posted, please join the Don't Be Caged by Your Age newsletter. Every month, you'll receive links to the podcast and helpful resources for creating possibilities for your unretirement days. Thank you for tuning in. I am so excited to hear how you found ways to thrive after 65. Waving from Boston, cheers.